Good morning, friends. Thanks for joining this morning here at Journey Home Meditation for the morning sit. I'm Michael, and together today we're going to be working through some breathing practices, a little bit of meditative practice, some contemplation, and I think a couple of poems today as well. So thanks for taking the time out of your day to find a little stillness, a little silence, to catch your breath and to be together just for a few moments. I am finding it, there's this adjustment period of coming back to a shared practice. And there's some elements to this, to when we return to something, like, when you're at work for a long time and then you take a vacation and you come back, there's this period of readjustment, right? This period of settling back into the ways in which you have found that you best function, and then you come back and everything feels a little bit out of place. Everything feels a little bit awkward, and you recognize that nothing here is out of place. Here is as it was when I left it. It's me that has shifted in place. I've shifted in place a bit. And the practice of old ways with a new understanding or a new positionality, right? A new place of standing and posturing in our lives can be awkward. There can be an awkward adjustment period, and that's, I think, what I'm feeling as I come back to these morning sits. I was away for some time. I was taking that time intentionally. I was feeling in my life a need to have some closedness. I was being asked to close down just a bit, take a little hiatus. And in that interim, in that period of being a little more closed, I have a practice of each day I try to practice openness. I try to practice holding myself open. And the work that I do here at Journey Home, sitting with people, sometimes in their most vulnerable or exposed states, openness feels like an obligation or a way to meet people where they are. When they come in to me and they are fully open, their heart torn open, I feel that my openness is a requirement to speak the language. For myself, I don't feel like I'm being obligated by anyone else, but for myself, I practice that openness so that I can share that space. And it's beautiful. It creates beautiful moments. And I was told once that our life is made of years and months and weeks and days. And days are made of hours and minutes and seconds. And each of those, there are moments. So it's all a sum of moments. And so as many of these moments as that we can bring our awareness and bring our openness, holding ourselves open in a healthy way, I think accumulates into a life well lived. I think that's what all of us are really seeking, is a life well lived. But oftentimes, what can happen is we become accustomed to a way of being, and we form grooves or tracks in our path, right? And we start to think, well, this is how I am. I'm not like this. And so when it came to me time to close down a bit, when I was being asked to sort of shell in and burrow in a little deeper, finding some internal processes, and not necessarily feeling like openness was going to be helpful in that moment. It was a difficult shift for me. It was difficult for me to close down. I started having all sorts of imposter syndrome and doubting myself, and that led to formulating beliefs about myself, or chastising and judging, and all of these things that had to happen as a necessary part of the process of transformation. And so here I am now. I'm back, and coming back in to these old practices. And I don't mean old as a pejorative. I mean these ways that have been happening for some time. I'm coming in more fresh, with some new perspective on what my needs are, where my boundaries are, and I'm happy to be here. I'm really happy to be here. So thanks for being here with me and sharing these moments. Let's take a few breaths, welcoming in some silence. So, taking this time to just feel our breath, to see what it is we are carrying with us, see where it is we can discover and come into that practice of reassociation with our bodies. I think that I know for myself, dissociation has been such a well practiced way of being for most of my life. Dissociating from my body because of pain or because of shame or guilt or fear or insecurity, whatever it may be, I have learned to live somewhat from the neck up. I've intellectualized things. I have used, uh, you know, um, my love of language and my love of concepts and understanding to really develop and play with my brain a lot, with being in my head, being in my thoughts, my thought body. But I have historically been somewhat separated from my physical body. And this practice of just taking a few breaths, bringing that awareness in with the breath through the nose down to the bottom of the belly and then outward from there, out all of the limbs to the top of the head and the bottom of the feet, just scanning the whole body. And in doing that, bringing with me a sort of greeting, hello, foot. When you get to a spot and you say hello, hello, knee, hello, cramp in my lower back. Hello, tightness in my chest. Hello, unwillingness to release. Hello, yearning for connection. Hello, warmness in the room, and hello, the cool breeze on the inside of my palms. Taking this time to acquaint yourself with your body is an act of love. It's an act of courageous invitation. And it's a kindness. And if we expect to live in a kinder world, we had better start with ourselves, or we're missing a vital, vital piece to this puzzle. So let's spend those few moments just saying hello to those parts of our body we can meet on this path. Breathing in through the nose, slowly to the bottom of the belly, filling the belly. As the belly rises and falls, it's an act of devotion. Picture a room of monks rising and falling, prostrating themselves. This is a devotional act to your body, to your life, to your spirit, to your love. Breathing in. And release. Breathing in. And release. Breathing in. release. Just fill your body with kindness for just a moment. Just use your imagination if you have to, use your thoughts if you have to, use whatever you have to use. Notice what I'm saying there. Whatever you have to use, not what you're forced to use, but what you have. Use your resources, the things you already have. So when I say let your body be flooded with love, that's because you have love. Have kindness. Fill your body with kindness. If you have gentleness, if you have compassion, if you have even the things that you think you might not have. As you breathe in those elements, those pieces of you, and watch them come alive. It's like watering the gardens. And there's those plants, those flowers in the garden that maybe don't get as much sun as the others, or don't get as much attention or as much water, so they don't grow as big. So we want to find those and we want to tend to those. And that's what we have. We have the ability to do that. So let kindness move into your body. When we think about kindness, I think about holding doors for strangers. Walking up to the grocery store and a stranger holds the door for you. What's occurring in that moment may just seem, like a bit of nothing, just a small gesture in your day. It's not a big deal, move on. But what it really means is I see you. I see you and I recognize that you're coming this way, and I have the ability here to facilitate your movement today. I see that, and I want to hold this door open to welcome you into your day, to welcome you. And that may not seem like a big deal to some, but to others, that may be everything. Just being seen in that moment, having a little eye contact, a little nod of a head, or a pleasant word. What may seem like a nice thing to do all of a sudden becomes a kindness. Nice things are things that we do and say that are a bit rote, a bit scripted or expected of us. Hi, how are you? Good, thank you. How can I help you? Those are nice ways of being. Oh, that's nice. But niceness is not the same thing as kindness, because kindness recognizes you. And when you are offering a kindness, you are offering that you to be recognized as well. So there's an exchange right there of two souls colliding into each other under circumstances that are insurmountable. I mean, to think of everything that had to happen to fall into place just in that moment for those two souls to meet right there, crossing, one going out, one coming in, or both going in at the same time. And there we are colliding, and there's just a moment of recognition. Hello. Let me help you. Let me hold this for you. And I think that we oftentimes have a difficult time recognizing that as a kindness, feeling that kindness has happened to us when we are in a world of pain or of suffering, thinking about all of the things that make us feel hurt or sad or alone or othered or rejected or abandoned, we can forget that those things happen in our day, and we can start to see the world in difficult ways. But each of those difficulties, these are opportunities as well to understand that all of the kindnesses that we've been given have taught us, have given us the tools we need in that very moment. So when you're sitting with somebody who is really suffering, really struggling, really having a difficult time, and they're just pouring that into you, they're just pouring all of that frustration, all of that anger, all of the conspiracy, all of the fear, all of the rejection, all of the insecurity, and it's just shooting at you. And sometimes it seems like it's directed at you, like it's all about you. Well, it's not. And learning that kindness of holding the door, that can be quite a gift in that moment. That can be exactly what's needed for yourself or for the person that you're sitting with. I know that when I was on a trip recently, I was in Ohio, a place of my birth and a place of a lot of my pain, a lot of my suffering, a lot of my joys, a lot of all of my formative self, the years of being a child, being cared for in the ways that you're cared for, and being neglected in the ways that you're neglected. All of that lived there. So I go back and I tend to my father. I'm going to pause. I do want to share this story because it is something that I've learned from in this last week. But I'd like to hear a poem right now about kindness. So I have got a wonderful poem from a recording by Daniel Austin Sperry. Daniel Austin Sperry is a poet, cellist, artist, a public producer of kindness, coming out of Ashland, Oregon. And he produced an album called When Your Life Becomes Poetry. And I found this on Bandcamp, but you can check out, I believe it's Daniel Austin Sperry. That's SPERRY .com. And you can find, or if you just Google Daniel Austin Sperry, you'll find your way around. And you can download this album as well. Making purchases on Bandcamp is really great. It helps support the artists. And this album is a collection of poems by other poets that Daniel reads set to music that he creates. And he has a wonderful version of Kindness by Naomi Shihab Nye. Naomi Shihab Nye is a Palestinian-American poet who is very, very awarded in this country for their poems, ranging from children's books to some of the most in-depth processing of grief and sorrow for anyone. So she's a wonderful poet, and he's done a great job with this poem. So I would like to take just a moment to hear this poem. And then I will share some of those contemplations. Before you know
what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, all this must go. So you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. How you ride and ride, thinking the bus will never stop. The passengers eating maize and chicken will stare out the window forever. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian in a white poncho lies dead by the side of the road. You must see how this could be you. How he too was someone who journeyed through the night with plans and the simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it until your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and takes you out into the day to mail letters and purchase bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is I you have been looking for," and then goes with you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend.
That's Daniel Austin Sperry performing Kindness by Naomi Shihab Nye from his album When Your Life Becomes Poetry. So yeah, I was back in the place where I grew up, helping tend to my father, and um, it was a different experience than it has ever been. As I'm sitting in this room with my father, who, he needs more tending to now than ever in his life, and he has seemingly less capacity to advocate for his needs and to ask for what he needs. And so I'm sitting there and I'm having this opportunity to learn once again from my father. But what I'm being taught once again from my father is, you don't have to do this. You know, So many lessons that I had in my life from my father, turns out, were lessons of you don't have to do this. Many of them I did not listen to, some I did. But I'm sitting there, and there's a moment that occurred where my father asked for a haircut. And he hadn't uh, he hadn't been bathing well. He's in an assisted living facility, and they will help him. They will assist him in anything that he needs, but they will not force him to do things that he doesn't ask to do. And so if he doesn't request assistance with bathing, then they won't offer assistance. And so he hadn't been properly bathing for quite some time, maybe about 2 months. And so I needed to tenderly handle that situation with my father, as to not shame him or embarrass him, but to help him to be clean and to do these things. So I'm bathing my father with towels and soapy warm water, and I'm washing his scalp and his shoulders and his arms, and then I'm helping to shave his face and his neck, and then cut his hair. And as I'm doing these things, I'm sitting in this room and recognizing in this moment that the kindness that's being performed here is on both of our parts. He is being kind to allow me to assist him, and I am being kind in helping this man meet his needs. And that kindness is an invitation. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I'm starting to experience me and this man and our history of 46 years on this planet, and all of the ways that I've been here for 46 years in his care and in his negligence, and all of these ways we've related to one another. And here I am, I'm standing over him, and I'm bathing him and cutting his hair. And in that invitation, there's 7-year-old me, and then 34-year-old him, and we're playing catch in the yard. He's throwing pop flies, and I'm glaring into the sun, hoping that I don't miss the ball and it smashes out the last of my front teeth or anything like that. And and then there's 12-year-old me, and there's him, almost 40, drunk, being driven home from the bar by me. Uh, there's all these ages and all these ways we relate to each other, and we're all in the room there together. There's the 23-year-old me, 24-year-old me, getting married, and him not being there. That his absence is present in the room. Um, there's all these things, these ways of relating to each other. And I start to think about the ways that we practice relating to ourselves and to one another can change. And if change is not a part of my practice, if transformation is not a part of my practice, if discomfort and confronting those parts of myself is not a part of my practice, then I'm going to stagnate. And I look at all of those different me's, and I think, if I had just stopped right there, where would I be today? If I had just stopped right there, where would I be today? But I didn't, and he didn't. And here we are in this one moment, this world made of moments. And this moment's happening right now, where I'm cutting the long hair out of his ears and brushing the cut hair off of his neck, and rubbing a scented oil on my hands to massage his scalp when we're done. And I watch this man come alive. And I feel myself that was feeling downtrodden and exhausted start to feel really good. And here we are creating this new paradigm. And I think that's relevant to this practice for me today, because as I sit down and I set up the camera and I set up the microphone and things just feel a little awkward, I can remember it's not anything in this room that's different. It's you. And that's okay. That's a good thing. But you'll find it. You'll find it. So if you've stepped away from your practice of kindness to yourself or self-care or love, if you've stepped out of your practice of co-regulating with people in your life, with putting your arm around someone or having someone's arm around you, if you've stepped out of your practice of asking if someone wants to run errands with you or take a walk, when you step back in, it might be quite uncomfortable. And that discomfort, that's really good, because that discomfort means that there's about to be an entirely new way that you can relate to you and to them, and an entirely new moment will be created in a lifetime of moments. I was going to pick up bell hooks today, but I think I'm going to leave it with that. I'm going to leave it with that. So thanks everybody for being here today, taking those few meditative moments together. We can end this practice with just a few minutes of silent space and see, as we're breathing in, where we can feel those new ways of being, those new ways of feeling who we are, meeting those old ways, and watch the transformation. We are here to bear witness. Okay, thanks for being here. You can practice this meditation for as long as you'd like, but consider today practicing an act of unbridled kindness and witness what happens to you when you do. And practice today receiving a kindness that you may take for granted normally in your day. Um, the three fingers raised from the steering wheel from a oncoming car, you know, small things where we insert our humanness and we insist upon it. We driving these beasts of machines, and we want to say, I'm in here. I'm in here. I see you in there. And then maybe in the comments today, you can tell us what kindness has done for you in your life, or how you plan to use the kindness that you have today something that you think you might try out. Or share with us a feeling of what it is to come back to something changed and finding that awkwardness and how that has happened in your life. But utilize these opportunities to connect with one another and share your story, please, in the comments. I would really like that. Thank you very much for being here. Om.